And there have been seasons where we have needed co-ops, and there's been seasons when we have had one venture into the classroom for different types of support. And what we've come to realize through all of that is that no matter what, we're a homeschooling family. And we will never let go of that identity, because that is the critical piece that helps us feel like we as parents are living rightly what we're called to do, which is to be the formators of our kids.
Welcome to the Homeschool Connections podcast. I'm your host, Kaitlin Zara, and I'm so glad you're spending some time with me today. New episodes drop every week, so make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell if you're watching on YouTube. All right, mamas, grab your coffee, press play, and let's homeschool together. Chantal Howard is the founder of Catholic Finishing School. She's a life and business coach of more than 10 years, and most notably, she is mom to 7 children, ranging from 22 years to 8 months old. And today, we're talking about how to homeschool a large family. Chantal, welcome.
Thank you so much, Kaitlin. What a joy to be here.
I'm so excited to talk to you because, Chantal, there's a lot of moms who have a couple of children and they've got it on their hearts to homeschool, but as their families grow, they become more apprehensive about the idea of homeschooling. They just think, how could I homeschool a large family? That might be unrealistic. So we are so excited to hear all of your tips and tricks and advice for homeschooling a big, wonderful family.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I definitely do have a big, wonderful family. So maybe I can speak a little insight into that. And it's a joy just to be back with these listeners, because over the years, they've heard me share some of those tips and tricks. And I find myself leaning into them more and more in this particular season. I have, like you mentioned, kids 22 to 8 months old. And so homeschooling a large family, it becomes part of the adventure of my entire life. When I look back, I was homeschooled myself in a large family, and then now living this, and just kind of, it's sometimes a little surreal, to be totally honest, Kaitlin.
Yeah.
It's a real gift though. So yeah, let's dive in.
Let's dive in. What does a typical homeschool day look like in your home with all of these kiddos?
Yeah, well, because my husband and I are both entrepreneurial as well, we've got work in the midst of it. So what I would say is our day, our typical homeschool day, starts first and foremost with family rosary. That's something that both my husband and I have anchored to. And my husband, who is a Mariologist and a lover of Our Lady, has ensured that that's the foundation. And it really is, again, it echoes from my own childhood, because that was the way my mom started homeschooling. So we pray the rosary every morning. It's the hush in the house is a really a beautiful way to put it. The rosary just starts our day. It sets the course. And I think it's the ultimate school, because if we get that in, to be honest, I'm content, right? Everything else is extra. The school of Our Lady and the school of her, just sitting in contemplation and teaching our children to just uncover the mysteries. That's what it's about. Now, I want to be honest, not every rosary is lofty and, beautiful. A lot of times we've got kiddos curled up in a ball and just hardly awake. But the heart of the matter is like that's the key, in my opinion, is just anchoring to the rosary. That's the first step. Then from there, again, because we have so many different ages, we have a lot of scattered, like little pods, if you will, of learning that has to happen. But we try to come together at least for just a little while around some themes and common topics. Sometimes I'll read a devotional. Sometimes it's a little bit of catechism. That is not always the case. Again, I'm not probably as regimented as some moms might be. But part of that is because I've had to learn that we are constantly being pulled in lots of different directions. For example, my oldest, she's in her senior year. It's a classical, really intensive season of study for her. So she needs to be free to do what she needs to do. I have a freshman. He is just a vibrant, really great student, and he's hungry to go. So he's like, all right, Mom, I'm off. I'm going to go do my math and my studies. And then my 9-year or 10-year-old and my other little kindergartner, we tend to couple up a little bit more and dive into different practical learning. So that being said, there's some mornings where Mom has to go right away and they have to do a lot of independent study. And I've got a call or I've got work that I need to attend to. So our homeschool every day looks different after the rosary. But the
Yeah.
rosary, that's the staple.
Non-negotiable. I
Yep.
gotcha, I gotcha, I love that. So how do you foster independence? Because I think a lot
Mm.
of moms who are listening are thinking, "That sounds really great that you can jump on a call if you needed to, or you can partner kids up and they can kinda just go with it." But how do you create a child who can independently learn when you need them to?
I think the most important thing, and this is something I remember because of my own mother, my mom, I just hear her voice in my head, is the whole goal is not to do public school at home.
Mm,
And so the idea that we have to make, get them up, get them going, get them dressed, get them out the door, so to speak, into,
yep,
this learning mode, to me is what we try to avoid, because that's such an artificial pressure, if you
yes.
will.
Yep.
And so I really am a huge advocate of less is more. And that creates
Mhm,
an appetite for learning and a hunger and a desire when, it's not necessarily, oh, you have to, X, Y, and
mhm.
Z, but rather you get to. And that, I have on most weeks, I have kids saying, Mom, I need my help. I need a little more help with my paper. Will you, dive
Mhm.
in? And they want to, I think that's a lot of times what fosters that desire for independence, is because they see learning as an extension of life and an
Mhm.
extension of, honestly, just joyful play and discovery versus something that has to get done.
I couldn't agree with you more. And it's funny that you say that because there are these breaks, right? Like a Christmas break, an Easter break, a winter break, a spring break, and our summer. And a lot of kids who are in traditional brick and mortar schools think, oh, great, no work for a couple of
Mhm.
weeks. And my kids still read because they want to read. They still
Mhm.
do other kind of academic activities because, like you said, you instill a love of learning and they want to write because they like creative writing. They wanna keep up with certain things because we have instilled that love of learning in them. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah,
So
that's for sure. I just am thinking of my 14-year-old son who's like, "Mom, can I go work on my book? I want to write my book." I'm like, "Oh,
so
what are
cool.
we writing about? This is amazing."
It's so amazing. So, Chantel, I know you've got this wide age range and this beautiful big family. You've got 5 girls and you've got 2 sons, and I imagine with 7 children that they don't all learn exactly the same way. And I know some moms of big families, they'll buy one curriculum, one writing program or one math program and hope they can use it the whole way through for every child. Have you found that to be true, and how do you address the child who learns by bopping around and jumping around, and then you've got the child who wants to be quiet in their room? How do you address these different learning styles?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, I think I've bought every curriculum under the sun. We have done everything because, I mean, naturally, I think our idea is that the curriculum is somehow going to make or break our homeschool.
Mhm.
And so whether it's been Charlotte Mason approaches or all the Montessori ideas into traditional studies, I've gone
Yeah,
classical, we've gone through it all. And
yeah,
I have quite literally a garage full of curriculum, which, honestly, I'm not very proud of, but I love that I can dip into it when I need to. Like you said, for the
absolutely.
different learning
Mhm.
styles and the different learning seasons that come with our own
Mm,
family dynamic too. Sometimes, like I said, less is more. Other times we do have more rigor. And so I think in terms of adaptability for parents, in terms of and kids and learning styles, I often tease, I feel like it's schizophrenic parenting. You have to, like, 1 second be focused on, oh, this child's needs, and the next switch to this one, or, from potty training to almost ready to leave the house and plan a wedding. It's a
mm,
different kind of demand. And you're right. Every student learns a little differently. So that is one of the meta skills, if you will, of
yeah.
being a homeschool mom, is just learning to pay attention and being willing to be so detached from the outcome, detached from your idea of what has
Mhm.
to be consumed or accomplished or the way in which it has to be done, that you can really, in the end of the day, just simply surrender that to the Lord and say, I'm doing the best I can. And that's, if anything I can share, I just want moms to know that is,
Mhm.
whatever you do, whatever effort you put in, just having your children in your home, close to you, in your own milieu and your own, where you're giving your heart to them, that's enough. Now,
Mhm.
that might seem not enough to somebody who wants to have a super academic, uh, you know, lineup at the end of the day and get into the best schools. So okay, if that's what your child is looking for, is that if that's what you want, then you can march down that path and it's totally accomplishable. But for many moms, I think the goal is simply just to give them a formation that is counter to the culture and the
Mhm.
noise, and a place where in the end they can form them in the way that they want to form them. And I think that's important. And we feel the pressure as moms. Am I doing enough? Am I
Yeah.
keeping up? Even more than they do. They don't
Absolutely.
necessarily know all the standards that have to be met and all of
Mhm.
those things. I think that's one of the biggest things that kind of caught me off guard, was how much pressure I would feel.
Yeah. I agree. I couldn't
Yeah.
agree more. And I'm thinking right now, as you're speaking of the mom who has this big, beautiful family, and that involves pregnancy and postpartum,
Oof.
seasons of life. You spoke quickly to seasons of life and how things are different in different seasons with our families. So, what about the mom? Speak to the mom who is maybe pregnant and having a rough time. She's
Oof.
tired and she's got doctor's appointments. Speak to the heart of the mom who is newly postpartum and she is trying to nurture this little one while also keeping up with lessons. What advice would you give her?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm right there with you. This last school year was one of those seasons. We had a February baby,
Mhm,
and my kids often, they know that their job is just to provide, to care, to nurture, to hold the fort together,
mhm,
and that's part of the learning I want for them. And so I
mhm,
think most of all, just giving them permission. My
mhm.
Again, my oldest daughter, who's almost a senior, when we look back at her the last 4 years, sometimes she's like, I'm just a glorified nanny around here. And I'm like, well, in part, that's a huge educational preparation.
It
You are learning how
is.
to cook, to clean, to care, to, and she was my birth coach. And so
Wow.
inviting her into the learning of real life, that's one thing she'll say. She's like, I'm more prepared to have a baby than
Yes.
probably anyone else in my entire age bracket. Like, I've
Yep.
seen it up close and personal. And so love learning life. Let life be the education.
Mhm,
That's the canvas, and it's okay. And again, I don't presume to think that, gosh, I don't, it's not that like I don't have worries or anxieties or feel like I see the gaps at times,
mhm.
but the Lord always fills them in. And that's what I'm astonished by, especially as I look now to my older kids who are out of the home and moving on. I have one daughter who's at college and music school.
Amazing.
She's a music performance major, and she's taking 20 credits and top of her class. And
Wow.
sometimes I just go, you you did that, Lord. You managed to make it all happen and filled in all the gaps, because she saw many of those seasons of little babies
Mhm.
and all the transformations that had to happen in those seasons.
Incredible, incredible. Congratulations to you too. That
Thank
is
you.
just so wonderful. So, Chantel, in those seasons, postpartum, and now you've got toddlers, how do you do it? I imagine the chaos, and I know a lot of moms feel the chaos of a toddler at your feet who's screaming for yet another snack, and they have tossed the Play Doh all over, and maybe now it's ground into the carpet, and you've got another child saying, I don't understand this long division. Mom, help me. Mom, I need you. When you're pulled in so many different directions in a day, how do you do it? What do you do? Do you have any tips and advice?
Oh,
At Franciscan University in Steubenville, students live the truth of the gospel in a vibrant Catholic community that unites faith and reason in every major. 20% of Franciscan students come from a homeschool background. Plus, high school juniors and seniors can earn college credit through Franciscan's dual enrollment. Learn more at franciscan.edu.
your description is just eerily reminiscent of my daily life. So you've got it nailed down there. And I know there's so many moms that feel that. We have now my granddaughter also with us at times. So it's one more in the mix. So what do we do? Well, I think that we take it minute by minute, moment by moment, and we have to just remember that the Lord has us in this experience not only to form their hearts, but He's forming ours. It's the
Mhm.
school of patience for us. And I can't tell you how many times I'll, lose my temper.
Yep.
You guys, just stop. No more. Everybody,
Mhm.
you to that corner, you to that
Yep.
corner. We're putting on some quiet music and nobody's moving for a minute. And sometimes we do. We need those timeouts. We need those moments, not just for them to reset, but for us to reset. And then we come
Mhm.
back. Okay. All right. Let me take your heart. Where is it crinkled? How can I untangle the knots for you? And so I think
Mhm.
it's just learning how to be okay with those moments of chaos, and also the moments when you see them wrestling with their own ability to be obedient or to
Mm,
follow the task, or we call it a culture of mercy. We have to have a culture of mercy in our homes, because in the end, if we are just constantly pushing perfection, we've kind of missed the whole point of it all. So practically speaking, I find myself oftentimes, again, just giving people different corners, nooks. We don't have a large home. We don't have a great, huge space for everybody to disappear to. But I will say, hey, this is your zone. And
mm,
here, if you need headphones on so you can have a little bubble of, a little environment to focus on, great. You get
mhm,
access to that tech for now. And you might need to watch a little show. What little holy show can we put on to content you
mhm,
so that I can help? And I don't feel guilty about that. I think a lot of times we think, oh, we have to be tech free, screen free. Don't get me wrong, we're not, misusing them,
mhm.
but we're using those types of tools to provide little pockets of opportunity to help. And then honestly, with older children, a lot of times it's happening later in the evening, and they are
Mhm,
babysitting during the day and
mhm.
playing a different role. So it's not again, the scheduling and the life flow allows school to happen at all kinds of different moments, not just during the scheduled hours.
I love that. I was just going to ask you also about sibling conflicts because that happens, right? You've got a
Right.
lot of kids all in the home at once, or a child who has lack of motivation, or whatever it may be. And I think you just gave us some great tips. I love the idea of even in a small home, you can find corners for each kiddo, a spot for each of them. Somebody's by the window, somebody's on the couch, somebody's in their room. And I love the idea. I love the way that you just freed a lot of moms to say, hey,
Mm.
listen, if they need 20 minutes to watch a show, it's okay. Lean into it. It's okay. Like you said, we're consuming the right kind of
Mhm.
shows and content. We're not overusing or misusing, but if you need it, mama, do what you got to do. And that's okay.
For
And I
sure.
love what you said about homeschooling at different times. School doesn't have to start at 8 a.m. It doesn't. And maybe for your littles, it does because that's better for them. And your older ones can learn at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night after dinner. I think that is so great. I know for us at home, sometimes if I'm having a really crazy week, we start to homeschool on the weekends. And then I
Yeah.
have my husband's support. And that's really great. Where I'll say, we're going to the library. We're going to spend 2 hours. Let's each take one of our kids and then we'll swap them again and give them, an opportunity to work with us both. Why not use an evening or a weekend and get creative that way?
For sure. Absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think one of the things that we can do that just elevates the whole educational environment is just increase the intentionality of our conversations.
Hmm.
When we're talking with our children, we're talking with them about deep things. We're using language that is exposing them inadvertently
Hmm.
to themes and ideas. And part of that, as a gift, I really appreciate the fact that I was able to see how my own homeschooling afforded me the ability to speak, the ability to think, the ability to act. And my mom too, she had 6 kids. Her husband traveled, my dad traveled and then died when I was 14. So she was a widow and raising twin little ones and a handicapped son, and it's all of it is part of the process of
Hmm.
formation, and it's what we lost, I think, when we embrace the idea that school had to be this, thing that was dictated to us from outside versus from within. And I really think of the saints and so many of the beautiful witnesses that came to us and came to be doctors of the church,
Hmm.
and they never had formal education. So that's just a hope in my heart that it can happen without necessarily having to have a ton of fancy systems. But that being said, I love that there are. And so, again, leaning into the tools when they're appropriate, whether
Hmm.
it's outsourcing a class,
Yep.
whether it's, again, I love homeschool connections, right?
Yeah.
Let's lead in here, because there are seasons when I'm over my head with, calculus. I'm not doing it, or
Mhm.
algebra
Yep.
even. Although I've gotten pretty good at managing, every now and then I help my son and I'm like, I can't believe I still know that. Like, oh,
Mhm.
this is amazing. What a great little awakening in my heart that I still have that knowledge. So, um, Yeah, use the tools, don't be afraid, but be intentional just about the conversation. Be intentional about how you talk about life because at every dinner table conversation in the road, on the road, back and forth from different events, formation is happening.
Hmm. And that is the education you can't learn in a
Yeah.
textbook. It cannot be replicated in any school in the country, in the world. That is the value of homeschooling, the heart of it. Absolutely beautiful story that you shared with us of your childhood and your mom's
Mm,
motherhood journey and what an inspiration and what an education in life you got to live through those things as a family. I think that
mhm,
is so beautiful. And, like you said, it is just that's the heart of homeschooling. It's just amazing. And moms who are listening, big families, if you're feeling like, well, you don't remember calculus and you don't remember chemistry, you don't have to know it all. This is not your it's not your responsibility. You are not obligated to remember everything from your own education. You can outsource, you can find the resources. No pressure there.
for
So,
sure.
Chantal, you are having babies, you have a homeschool flow in your home every day, but meals still need to get made. Laundry still needs to get done. The house still needs to be cleaned. How does a mom of 7 keep up with all of that stuff?
Well, you employ your children.
Tell me the ways.
We do. We have to task them. Part of their formation is learning those types of habits.
Mhm.
I think that oftentimes we think about schooling as just the A's, arithmetic, and the academics,
Yep,
but they need to learn the discipline of this is your task, this is your zone. The dishwasher has to be emptied before anything else, and you're in charge of making sure laundry keeps moving. And Saturday is a day where we all pause and we all do the house and we pull it back together. And
yep,
we have to give them responsibility and make this a team effort. That's what I tell them. I'm in it with you. I'm not going to sit on the sidelines and just crack
yep,
the whip. I'll roll up my
yep.
sleeves. I'll do dishes. I'll help. I'm contributing
Mhm.
here, but I'm not doing it alone. So let's do it together. Let's make it fun. And let's remember that this is our space. This is our world. And you know what it's like when it comes undone. Nobody loves it.
Mhm.
It no longer becomes a fun place. So
Mhm.
part of learning is learning to manage those dimensions of life, the personal disciplines, the rhythm of how do you care for yourself? How do you get dressed? How do you maintain your own sense of your environment? And yeah, mom and pa are going to check. We're going to look, is your room tidy? Do you have your space? What do we need to get rid of? We have a perpetual giveaway box. We're constantly
Mhm.
decluttering. That's a
Yep,
huge part of homeschooling is just when you're living in your school, you have a constant need to unload and to pull it back together.
yep.
And so it is a lot. There's no doubt about it. And there are times where I know on just the other side of my very busy life is probably some sort of mental breakdown, but I don't go there. Why? Because I know it's my call. I know the Lord is supporting me and my kids as well. We lean into each other and there are just moments when they go, "Hey mom, I got that." And it's okay. Why don't you? And in fact, I had one of my daughters just you go take a nap. Like it's your turn. I'm like, okay, I'll take
Amazing.
you up on that. So
Amazing.
yeah,
Well,
we're a team.
I wanna hear more about that too because you are a mom of 7, but you're also a working mom, right?
Mhm.
You've got your hand in a lot of different projects, which is so incredible. You're a homeschooling mom. You're really doing it all. So how do you nourish yourself spiritually? How do you take care of yourself? Do you have any self-care type ideas for us of how to maintain that? Like you said, you never get to the brink of overexhaustion and
Right.
losing it because you do, those things that keep you feeling your best. So what can you give us in terms of advice for that?
Yeah, absolutely. The last 5 years I've been full time. So this has been a
Mhm.
real practice of can I can I practice what I preach? Can I implement consistency, using a calendar, being more cognizant of my time, making sure that I have those support tools for myself, a morning routine. The mornings may look different in the sense of not every day has the same routine, but every day
Mhm.
has to have a routine.
Mhm.
Making sure that I am taking care of my body, nourishing myself, supplements,
Yep.
skincare, just a glorious shower. It's an
Yep.
amazing place of contemplation. I feel like I probably pray more in that moment than just
Mhm.
about any other moment because I'm absolutely in a moment of just solitary peace.
Yep.
And then we thankfully live just a couple minutes from the church. And so
Mhm.
we run to the church literally or walk to the
Mhm.
church, take a break and go visit our Lord occasionally. And my husband's a
Beautiful.
huge advocate. He's the director of the Fulton Sheen Institute, and he's a
Mhm.
huge advocate of the daily holy hour. And so for him in particular, as the man of our home,
Mhm.
he ensures every day he's taking a daily holy hour. And I feel that blessing on our family because he covers us. So not only do we have our rosary touch point, our meal prayers, we really try to enhance our meal prayers, not just bless us, O
Mhm.
Lord, these are gifts,
Right.
like let's take that moment. And I find that to be the case for myself too. If I can just pepper in these structured key little moments of prayer, before I know it, I have had the Lord with me all day. That doesn't
Mhm.
mean that I don't need to find those explicit moments for a little bit of scripture, for
Mhm.
time with the Lord, for some spiritual reading. But on a given basis, the rhythm of life or the routine of life, the rule of life, if you will, that's the scaffolding that we have,
Mhm.
that the church has given us. We know that the morning is meant to be our time of consecration and we give our day. It's our fiat moment. I often talk to the kids
Mhm.
about the rosary. It's like the rosary, it's the joyful mysteries. That's every morning. Every morning, it's your joyful moment. Can you say yes? And then we go into our public ministry, proclaiming the kingdom. That's our homeschool time. That's our work
Yep.
time. And that's the time just to bring the Lord with us into that moment. What are the words I'm communicating, the witness I'm giving? By 3 o'clock, we've all failed and we need to stop and ask the Lord's mercy.
Yep.
And so that's a common habit in our home. 3 o'clock, my husband comes in. He says, "What time is it?" And little Petra, she's like, "It's 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock." And everybody stops, gets on their
Yep.
knees, and we just take a moment to pray the 3 o'clock prayers.
Beautiful.
And then towards the evening is the time of surrender into the arms of Our Lady. And I do
Mhm.
feel that really beautiful. Like, okay, it's been a big, big day full of all kinds of work and efforts. In the end, I want to count my victories and I want to celebrate
Mhm.
just being at peace in your arms. And so that's the glorious mysteries. And it's just that rhythm that helps hold me, uh, I think, in peace.
Absolutely incredible. Incredible, Chantal. I want you to speak to the heart of the Catholic homeschooling mom who's listening, who is thinking that maybe she is just not cut out
Mm,
to homeschool a large family. Maybe she, like I said, is the mom who sees her family is growing and thinks, I've just got to register them for school." Or maybe this is a mom who is already in the thick of it and homeschooling a big family and thinking, maybe next year I've got to put them into public school or
mm,
to private school. What do you say to that mom?
mm. Well, first of all, I want you to feel the freedom to discern what is the needs of your family. I think that there's no absolutes. And there have been seasons where we have needed co-ops, and there's been
Mhm.
seasons when we have had one venture into the classroom for different types of support. And what we've come to realize through all of that is that no matter what, we're a homeschooling family.
Mhm.
And we will never let go of that identity because that is the critical piece that helps us feel like we as parents are living rightly
Yeah.
what we're called to do, which is
Mhm.
to be the formators of our kids. And so whether it's leaning into the parish programs for a time or outsourcing specific classes,
Mhm.
we did have at one point one of our teenagers did go part time for a couple of classes
Mhm.
to fill in those gaps when resources were short and we needed that kind of support. I don't feel like that usurps your role as a homeschooler. Like you still are, and when you claim that self image and you step into just thinking of yourself in that light, everything else starts to fall into place because you take
Mhm.
ownership over your home in a new way. And so it's possible. And absolutely the large family dynamic, if anything, I think kind of makes it easier. To be
Mhm.
honest, I love that
Tell
I
me how.
have
Tell me.
because I have all of these different levels of maturity that I can lean into and help,
Mhm.
and I've got helpers.
Yep.
So don't be afraid. And now, granted, there's some bundled up families that are super tight, and it is just like, a dear friend of mine, she's got six under the age of, I don't know, just all packed together.
Yep.
And that's a different dynamic for sure.
Mhm.
But inevitably, that idea of raising up your family as a team, as a community, as just the culture in your world, it'll be sufficient. It'll be sufficient. And I can see that now more than ever before, having seen so many of my own family members homeschool and myself homeschool. I'm always amazed at how some of those rough and tumble boys turn out and manage to find their way
Yep.
and become contributing beautiful, husbands, fathers, and, work in and step into school, and all of the things can be accomplished. And it often doesn't take as long as we think.
Mhm.
So we had a season where what my daughter was, this is another one of my daughters, where she was like, I don't think I'm going to go to school. And all of a sudden she's like, no, I think I want to. I'm like, okay, let's pivot. Let's
Yeah.
make that path happen. And so, we can do a lot with a little when we're
Mm.
homeschooling. So that's my encouragement. Don't be afraid.
Beautiful
Uh,
encouragement.
yeah, don't be afraid.
Fantastic. Great advice. Chantal, before I let you go, I want to have a little fun. I want to do what I like to call the homeschool hot seat. So it's playful, rapid fire, kind of one word answers to
Okay.
questions that I've got on my mind. Chantal, do you wake up with your kids, or are you one of those people that's got to have a 5 a.m. wake up and get things done for herself and do her morning routine?
I'd say it depends on the day.
Depends
Some
on the
days
day.
I'm up, some days I'm with them.
Love it. Crock pot, instant pot, or air fryer?
Oh, Instapot.
Yeah, why? Why is it your favorite?
I'm definitely I just love the fact that I can forget about getting something out of the freezer and still have an amazing dinner on the
Yeah.
table.
Put it in frozen. I love that. Do you have a favorite tool like a planner or an app on your phone that you love to keep you organized?
Just a good calendar. That's probably that and notes. We keep a lot using my notes app all the time. I have
Yep.
all kinds of different notes in there.
Awesome. Well, that was fun. Thanks,
Oh
Chantal.
yeah, that was easy.
Chantal, I know that our listeners have been blessed by this conversation and it's encouraged a lot of hearts who are listening. And I just want to thank you so much for your time today. I know you've got a lot of great things in the works. We talked a little bit about Catholic Finishing School. What else is going on for you that we can, of course, we're going to link in the show notes, but where else can we find you? What else do you have going on?
Yeah, Catholic Finishing School is for sure on my heart. This is an initiative that has really been birthed out of my desire to help form young women, having been through many seasons of that now. So, Catholic Finishing School is a course that I put together specifically for girls 14 to 19 to help fill in the gaps of all of those different types of skills that don't typically get covered in the academic arena.
Hmm.
So, the self care, the mindset training, the learning how to be a cultured Catholic and consume good art and music, the
Hmm.
ability to hold themselves and how to do their hair, how to discover modest styles and all wrapped up in the theology of the body and a true Catholic identity. So, finishing school for young girls, that's one of my big initiatives right now. I'm very excited to share that with your audience. They can check it out at catholicfinishingschool.com/connections. That's specifically for your audience. And we're going to
Awesome.
have a little promo there so that it's a simple course that could fold into any homeschool and help support you mamas in raising those beautiful daughters. So that's a big
Fabulous.
part of my initiative right now. Like you said, I have many irons in the fire, but that's
Yep.
the one I want to particularly share today.
Fantastic, Chantal.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for spending this time with me, for all of these great tips, and for just your wonderful, heartfelt advice. This has been so fun. Thank you,
Well,
Chantal.
thank you. Thank you, Caitlin. I hope that I get to come back another time. I love this audience and
I would
community. It's so
love
special.
that. Yeah, Chantal, friend to the show. You are always welcome.
Wonderful.
This isn't the end of the conversation. I want to hear from you. Come say hi on Instagram, connect with me on Facebook, or leave a comment below. I want to know what today's conversation sparked in you. I read and respond to every message. Until next time, remember, you got this.